Welcome to The Explainer, where we break down the complex stories behind the tech that's changing our world.
So it was supposed to be this huge triumph, right? Just days after OpenAI launched GPT-5, what they called their most powerful AI model ever, social media just exploded. But not with praise. Instead, there was this huge wave of frustration with users saying things just like this, that the company had completely ruined ChatGPT. And the reaction? I mean, it was visceral. For people who use the tool every day, this big, revolutionary upgrade actually felt like a massive downgrade. They said the model was slower, less creative, and just didn't listen. The feeling wasn't just disappointment. As this user so powerfully put it, it felt like a genuine sense of loss.
So what on earth happened? How did we get from all that world-changing hype to this widespread backlash? Well, in this explainer, we're going to dive into what was promised with GPT-5, what users actually got, and what this whole messy launch tells us about the future of AI itself.
Okay, so before we get into all the drama, let's rewind. Let's talk about the promise. OpenAI didn't just sell GPT-5 as a small update. No, they positioned it as this monumental leap forward, basically comparing it to having a PhD-level expert at your fingertips 24/7. And the promises were, well, they were bold. OpenAI and its partners called it a complete game changer. It was going to be smarter and faster, with top-of-the-line performance in reasoning, writing, and coding. And, this is a big one, they claimed it would have way fewer of those AI hallucinations, where it just makes stuff up. They even said it would give more accurate health advice. The magic behind all this was supposed to be a new unified system. See, before, you might have had to switch between different models for different kinds of tasks. GPT-5 was meant to have this smart router that would automatically look at your question and send it to the best internal model for that specific job. The goal was simple: make it seamless, powerful, and totally effortless for you. Okay, so that was the promise. But the reality for users? Well, when GPT-5 actually landed, that seamless, super intelligent experience turned out to be, for a lot of people, a buggy and really frustrating mess. The gap between what was claimed and what people experienced was just jarring. That promise of better reasoning, it was met with reports that no, it actually gets some of the most basic things wrong. Improved writing, people felt the replies were shorter, blander, with way less personality. And that smarter, faster experience, the feedback was pretty clear. It's slower, and it just doesn't listen. And this whole disconnect was almost perfectly symbolized during the launch presentation itself. They showed these charts with mislabeled axes and confusing bars that didn't really represent the data correctly. The CEO, Sam Altman, even had to go on social media and apologize for what he called a mega chart screw-up. For critics, that one moment just captured the whole launch, a polished presentation that didn't quite line up with reality. So this begs the big question: why? Why would a company release a flagship product that felt worse to so many of its most dedicated users? The whole debate has pretty much settled on two dominant theories. All right, theory number one. This is the one you see all over user forums and Reddit. The idea is simple. This downgrade wasn't an accident. It was a business decision. It was all about the money. As people quickly pointed out, running these massive AI models costs an absolute fortune. So according to this theory, the changes, the shorter answers, the less complex reasoning, were actually a deliberate cost-cutting measure. A less capable model is a cheaper model to run, and when you're reportedly spending billions more than you make, every little bit counts. But what if the problem isn't just about money? A second theory suggests the issues come from a fundamental technical flaw in how these large models are actually built. So get this. Recent research from MIT has zeroed in on this fascinating flaw they call position bias. It's a phenomenon where, because of their very architecture, these large language models pay a lot of attention to information at the beginning and end of a prompt, but they tend to neglect whatever's in the middle. This creates what researchers call the lost in the middle effect. The model can literally forget or just ignore instructions and context if they're buried in the middle of a long prompt. This explains so much. It's why some users found that GPT-5 would fail on complex tasks or not listen.
It wasn't being disobedient, its architecture might have been literally blind to those crucial details.
This whole episode, the hype, the backlash, the technical flaws, it all points to a much bigger question for the entire AI industry. Is this race for just bigger and bigger models really the right path forward?
For years, the main assumption has been that progress in AI means building ever larger models. But the GPT-5 mess has a lot of people questioning if these giant one-size-fits-all LLMs are the only way to build really capable AI agents. In fact, a recent paper from researchers at NVIDIA is challenging that very idea. This diagram illustrates the two competing ideas perfectly. On the one hand, you have the current approach, one giant language model trying to do everything. But on the other hand, you have a completely different architecture, a heterogeneous system where a central controller acts like a project manager, handing out specific jobs to a team of smaller, specialized models.
These are called small language models, or SLMs for short. The cool thing is, they're lightweight enough to run on consumer devices like your phone or your laptop. They aren't designed to have a conversation about philosophy. They're designed to be really good at specific, repetitive tasks, which means lower costs and greater specialization.
And the difference is dramatic. Just look at the cost. An SLM can be 10 to 30 times cheaper to run. While the big models are these huge monolithic generalists, small models are agile specialists that can even run on your own device. This makes them absolutely perfect for the kind of reliable, agentic tasks that so many real-world applications actually need. And all this leaves us with a pretty provocative final thought. The struggle of a monolithic giant like GPT-5, contrasted with the rise of these nimble, efficient SLMs, really suggests a major shift could be underway. Maybe the future of AI isn't one giant brain in the cloud, but a whole collaborative team of specialized experts. Which makes you ask the question, is the era of the one-size-fits-all AI already over before it ever truly began?